Okay, my name is Shannon Duke, and I was diagnosed with actually breast, lymph, and bone cancer in 2000. I was 37, and I had a 3-month-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, so it was really harsh. I was given a very poor prognosis and had to go through pretty much the whole gamut of treatments, surgery and chemo, and I also did a lot of naturopathic and alternative therapies, as well as a lot of what Lisa talked about in terms of spiritual healing and doing a lot of my own emotional work. And to be honest, it completely turned my life upside down. But when I say that, it really wasn't all bad. In fact, it really shifted my life in a completely different way. I changed pretty much everything. I changed my career, I ended my marriage, all things that really needed to be shifted. And since 2000, it's really, I can honestly say, I've lived a fuller, richer life as a result of that diagnosis. So on September 11th, 2012, 12 years to the day, I was re-diagnosed with a new primary, a lung cancer, as well as it had already metastasized into my bones. So again, a very serious diagnosis. But I really felt a lot more prepared for it this time, and just was pretty matter of fact about what I needed to do. And then 2 months later, my daughter, 15-year-old daughter, had a seizure, and was determined that she also had multiple brain tumors, and in the last year has underwent 5 brain surgeries. In fact, Tuesday is her 6th brain surgery in a year. So it's been an incredible ride to be experiencing stage 4 cancer for the second time with my daughter. And I also have a 13-year-old son. I'm a single mom, and but I'm sure my 3 minutes is up, but I'm really grateful for the tools that cancer gave me, because I could not have got through this last year without the grounding of what I learned the first time around and how to actually live my life. So, and to journey with my daughter. So, it's
great. Wow, thanks.
Yeah, cool.
We'll obviously get to hear a little bit more about her story in a minute, but I got some questions for her. All right, next.
Hi, my name is Jerry Davis. I think it's 16 years lung cancer survivor and 3 years prostate cancer survivor. And that certainly changed my life. First of all, I didn't think I was surprised I got it, because I stopped smoking 9 years previous to being diagnosed with lung cancer. I was in the towing business, and I had stage 3 non-small cell. I was on a trial where I had chemo and radiation. First of all, it took 3 months to find the tumor because it was hiding behind the rib. Then I had chemo and radiation when they finally found it for 3 months. Then I had surgery, 1/3 of my right lung taken out, a month off, and then more chemo. I survived it. It wasn't, I'm sure in a second I'm not going to tell you it was pleasant. It wasn't. But all in all, just like this young lady here to my left said to me, overall, I really benefit from the experience. I had changed my lifestyle totally. As I said, I was in the towing business. Now I drive a school bus for special needs children, which I totally love. I look forward to getting to work every day. I see children with more challenges than I ever had, and how positive they are, and they don't give me a chance to feel sorry for myself, I can assure you. Now, as far as the things that are available, I know when I first went through it, my wife was a basket case. She was more affected by my diagnosis than I was. And the social services, as a matter of fact, Lisa has become a really good friend of mine, really helped her get through a lot. They couldn't understand why I did as well as I did, but maybe I kept it buried inside, I don't know. But they walked her through it. I changed my diet from, we were talking about diet, I mean, when I used to drive tow truck, you were eating while you were driving crappy food. My wife's a Jewish mother, by the way, so she makes sure I eat very well. And it's fruits and vegetables every day, and again, my lifestyle has changed. I get a chance to talk to people about going through this thing. And I'm very grateful for the hope, and I'm very lucky and grateful that I live in Alberta and Canada. Trust me.
All right. Yeah, great things. All right, John, you're up.
My name is John Walker, and I got diagnosed with lung cancer in 2006. They pulled out my left lung, and then 2009 in my trachea, and then this past year, my right lung. They did one of those wedge things. So I've done radiation and chemo and operations and stuff like. I got to do them all. It was lots of fun. It's what everybody says. It changes your life. It changes your outlook on life. And there's some good that comes of it. It would have been better to get the good without the bad. But there you go. That's it.
Wow, that was like 30 seconds. I thought it was really interesting how nonchalantly he mentioned that he just had his lung taken out and then his trachea taken out. So we got more questions for you. All right, John.
My name is John Rucci, and oddly enough, it's been 7 years ago today that I was diagnosed with lung cancer, small cell, and thought, the whole world has come down, but nevertheless, in this life, you've got to deal with whatever hand you're dealt and play it. I was fortunate enough to have the good support of my family, my doctor, the good Lord, who were topping the world. And I, like John or like Jerry, say that it's wonderful that we live in Alberta or in Canada, because I do believe we have one of the finest medical systems in the world. I've traveled the world over, and I've seen many that are said to be great, and never had the need to, like I have here, but nevertheless, just for what we have here, the research, the great doctors, and that I've had the fortune of having are just wonderful. I look at it as, what happened, what do I regret most, or how it affected me the most. And the worst was my golf score got worse. So after cheating, and it really still upsets me. But on the golf course one day, I'm complaining to one of my buddies I'm playing golf with, and I said, "Damn it, I can't just hit it." He says, "Why don't you stop your whining and complaining? At least you're here playing golf." And that's precisely what it's all about. I'm really, again, just thanks my wife, my support, my family, my sons, and I've been fortunate enough now to see 2 granddaughters being born.
Alright, so it's great getting an overview of your guys' story. So now I'm going to ask you guys a little more of a specific question. And so I guess what I'm interested in finding out is what was maybe one of the most difficult things that you went through while you were in that initial stages of diagnosis and treatment. Not like I guess the after that per se, but just that initial stage. What was the most difficult thing, and then what did you sort of do to overcome that difficult thing? So let's start. You ready? Let's start with Shannon.
I would say the most difficult thing for me, because of, the first time around my children were so little, 3 months old and 3 years old, was the impact on my family. I just really was heartbroken to think that my kids would never know their mom. Like, that was just horrible to me. And that really, so what I did about it was, that was my driver every day to wake up and go through, no matter how crappy it was, or how often, because the treatments are very challenging often, and to just think, okay, today I got this little life, and I'm just going to hold him, and then, when I was able to fight through it and come through it, I took a year off and traveled around the world with him, and I call it my making memories trip. And they were only 3 and 7, they were little. And it was the most magical thing because I thought, you know what, it doesn't matter how much time I have. I know now that they know me and my soul, and it was really an impetus for me to dig in a lot deeper about what's important in life. And the same thing this time around, really, you know, just to think as, what's the impact on my kids, and how do I live whatever time I have left well with them. And you know, my daughter in the same situation. We actually have a family mantra, which is carpe diem, and it has been that way since my kids were little. My little guy said it before he said a lot of other things, and it just means seize the day, make the most of every moment, and we truly do try to live that way. And really, my daughter, I had her in therapy the other day, and I picked her up and I said, "How's it going?" And she's going in for her 6th brain surgery. I mean, and she goes, "Oh, it was really good. We just had a chat." And she goes, "You know, I don't really have any issues." I'm just so grateful that we have, and it's not denial. Like, she really is working through her. It's I think that we talk about it. Like, there's no forum for hiding from things in our family. It's like we have every day at mealtime, it's highlight, low light, so that we can talk about what's the things that are really hard today, and there's a forum that it's safe to talk about what's hard, because there's lots of other things. And then I also say we always have to end with a highlight too, because if you can't find a gratitude in something, then you just focus on the crappy things. So that's been a real lifesaver for our family, just in terms of carpe diem and find truth in where you're at, authenticity and gratitude.
I love that idea of the high point and the low point, right? And I think a lot of times in our culture, you're so sort of pressured to focus on just the high points, just the good things, that stay positive mantra that you hear a lot of places. I think it's important to be able to express the low points as well, and to be able to talk about them as a family. I think that's great wisdom from your story.
And you do it very well.
Yeah. All right, Jerry, what about you?
The fear of the unknown, I guess, was the worst thing at the beginning, because I had no idea. They couldn't find the tumor. I had all kinds of, I had down the throat, I had opened up here, and then I finally had a needle biopsy when I was finally told I had it. And I like, again, I said I took it relatively well, but my wife, and thank God for the Tom Baker Center for Caregivers or Family Members, it was really, really good. And now I look at life totally different. I mean, it's not always, it's not about the almighty dollar and working 18, 20 hours a day. I go camping now that I didn't do all that much of. On my bucket list, my wife wouldn't do that because why? Because the bathrooms were a log. That was whale watching off Vancouver Island with a friend of mine. And I ski. Things that were not important are very important to me now. People.
So did you deal with that fear?
And then of course I had the diagnosis 3 years ago for prostate cancer. So that was a bit of a scare too. So no, here we go again, And in some ways that was more difficult because I had a hematoma while I had the operation in a hospital, so it scared the heck out of both of us. But that part is fine now,
So how did you get through, I guess, some of those scary or those fearful or uncertain times? Especially when they couldn't find the tumor and the hematoma, what was it that sort of got you through those moments?
Actually, one of the things I was, not as much anymore, a member of Al-Anon. Okay, my father was an alcoholic, and died an alcoholic actually, but God granted me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage, to change those. I can't remember. I haven't been involved with that. There's not enough of me. I'm involved with talking to patients too now. And I was the Alateen coordinator for many years as well as the sponsor. So this, I guess, spiritually, if you will, definitely helped me get through a bunch of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like and acceptance, I guess.
Yeah,
too.
acceptance, definitely.
Oh, great. Well, thanks, Jerry. So, what about you, John?
The fear, and it never goes away. so and that's the toughest thing to deal with. You just gotta, I just try to keep busy, and I try to think about the good, right? Yeah.
So maybe finding. So you, by keeping busy, what type of activities would you do to help you through those fearful times?
I work out a lot. It's good to hear that working out is good for you because I do it a lot. I don't know what I'd do if I couldn't do that. Got a couple of grandkids. That's really cool. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, if you're going to find something to avoid thinking about the difficult things in your life, I think physical activity and grandkids are probably two of the best things you can probably choose.
Definitely.
So, that's great. Well, thanks,
Yeah.
John. All right, John. What about you?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I was scared when I was diagnosed, but I kind of live by a mantra in my life, and the mantra is, when it's my time, that's my time. It doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing. I've traveled to places in the world where everything that breathes, walks, alive can kill you, and I've never had a fear walking through it. Never. My wife has said to me several times, "How can you go there? Are you out of your mind? Relax, from jungles to deserts to whatever." So I lived that man. So when I was diagnosed with it, yes, it was scary. Hey, no question about it. But I said, look, if it's my time, if it's over, it's over. So that helped me find a real levelness in my thoughts. I didn't fear it. And even my son happened to say to his mother, "Boy, I can't believe how calm Dad is. Like, doesn't he understand what he's got?" And I did. And I was fortunate enough to have two grown children, not like Shannon to have little kids. I was fortunate enough to have spent a lot of time with my kids. I was very happy with them, with my family, with my wife. We've been married 42 years. This year, just passed it in August. And I said, hey, if that's the time, I've got to go. And yeah, as you go through it, you start thinking more about, gee, do I really I'm going to miss golfing this year. I'm going to miss this, doing this year. But you just go through it. And I think, I'm not sure. I changed, and certainly I changed a lot. But you go through with thoughts that, hey, if that's the hand I've been dealt, I've got to play it. And there's not much you can do about it. You can't do anything to change it. That's the fact of life.
So it sounds like a little bit of acceptance, but also the fact that you've faced some scary situations in your life before.
Oh, I have, and unlike that, the worst situation, of course, my son was born, 4.5 weeks old. He was diagnosed with neuroblastoma, which is cancer, and he spent 5.5 hours in surgery. Now that I was scared, because here it was, my young baby boy is that big, and he spent 5 hours in surgery. Lost an adrenal gland, the kidney is doing very well now, thank God. But that was scary. Myself, not so much.
That's really interesting, because I think there's obviously a lot of life experience here in this room. Everyone here has gone through difficult things before cancer happened, and so being able to think back on those things and how you made it through those previous challenges that you've gone through might help you through this one in itself. And knowing that you were able to come through those other challenges. Sometimes it sounds like it sort of helped you make it through this challenge.
Very much so. Like I said, that was scary. Myself.
That's interesting. Okay, well, we have time for one more question, and then there's actually some great snacks out there for everyone. But I'm sort of trying to decide which one I really want to ask you. But I think maybe I'll ask you this one, and I think I'll add a little caveat to this that not everyone learned something going through this difficult experience, right? And I don't think everyone has to, right? I think there's some things that just suck, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? And I think sometimes we sort of feel this pressure that we have to gain something or learn something from an experience in order for it to have value. And I don't know if that's really the case, but it sounds like from what you guys have been describing that you've all sort of learned something from this experience. And so maybe this is, I guess, your opportunity. You already did this a little bit already, but maybe if there's one thing that you would like to leave with this group of people here today, maybe just say what that one thing is, and then sort of describe it and why you think it's important to share with them.
If I could pick one thing, because I've learned so much, it would probably be the gift of connection. Connection with yourself, like to really get clean with what's going on inside and your true emotions, and to feel them all, not just the happy ones. Connection with community, with people. Like I'm a single mom, and it would be impossible for me to do this on my own. So the gift of receiving is that I've been able to learn how to do that and to reach out, and I have an amazing community, and I'm so grateful. And that is the gift of cancer, is that I've built that over the years, and connection with God, if that works for you. But it's been really important for me to have a connection with something bigger, because we don't know how much time we have, and it's a great gift to not take on the burden of everything, to just be able to surrender and accept, and not ask the whys and what ifs. That's the other things. Those are two really dangerous questions, because whys just take you to the past, which you can't change, and what ifs are just future surfing. It's like, I could sit there and channel every possible horrible thing that could happen to my daughter, 2-stage 4 diagnosis. But that doesn't allow me to really be present and squeeze a life out of what I got today. So that's really my biggest.
Cool, thanks. What about you, Terry?
I think it's important to find somebody, and I know it has been for me on both ends, in receiving and giving, is being able to share with somebody. Now, nobody knows what chemo and radiation. I remember having a discussion with a doctor in the back over here. And I says, you don't know what chemo and radiation is like unless you've had it yourself. And he's kind of, well, maybe not. But if you talk to somebody that has had the same thing and what it was when they went through it, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. Sometimes it's very hard to talk to other patients too. It's not the easiest thing, because sometimes I know more than I wish I should. But when somebody comes back to me after and says thank you, I really understand now what something is like. I think that's important too. Thanks.
Thanks, Terry. What about you, John?
I think it's like cancer's a kind of a warning bell, right? So you know that you're going to die. The question is when. It's always the question, but this makes it a little more immediate. So you get a chance to affect the way people see you and remember you. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. What about you, John?
I don't know. I guess it's more to say, and it's easier said than done, stay positive.
Yeah.
But positive with a calmness, not positive, hey, rah, rah, I'm going to lift giant weights and I'm going to get pot where I can do this. No, it's a positive with a calm. Get inside yourself and just say, fine, and again, going back to alliteration, I'm going to play this hand that I'm dealt and accept it. Then enjoy your loved ones, or people that are anyone that's close to you, your family, and you will enjoy it for that time. And I try it. And again, it's the same answer. Make the best of those moments that you have. And it doesn't matter if you go tomorrow, a year from now, 10 years from now. We're all going to die. And unfortunately, as John just said, it makes it a little more aware. It's a little more, hey, here it is now. We're getting there. But nevertheless, you've got to have that closeness with the people around you that I think calms you right out, and you're able to enjoy life and really take in the moments that are left.
Wow, I think there's a lot of wisdom in these guys' stories, and the way that they've sort of moved through really difficult thing in their life. I think connection with people, being able to have those open, honest conversations with friends and family, building those connections, sort of maintaining that calmness or acceptance, and it's really, I think the coolest thing about hearing stories from people who have walked that journey maybe a little further than some of us here in the room is that they show us that it's possible. It is possible to live well despite what's happening. And so thanks for sharing that with us today. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. So,